Welcome you into the Bailey Tire and Auto post-game show here on 105.1 Jack FM and County10.com. A victorious Riverton Wolverine post-game show coming up here as Riverton knocks off the Rawlins Outlaws 42-14. And Scott, feels good to be a Riverton fan on the right side of the scoreboard. It's been a while since we've done that, but it also feels good to score a few times and see 42 on the home side here from Wolverine Field.
Yeah, how about that? Not just a victory here for homecoming, but a decisive one for the Riverton Wolverines, who you see meeting with their coaching staff at just about midfield. A couple of things. The defense responded pretty well. Didn't have to defend against a whole lot. Pretty one-dimensional Rawlins offense, but you still have to go out there, fill your gaps, wrap up, and make plays. Secondary did come up with a couple of big plays there in the first half as well. Offense looked great. I think Riverton was pretty much able to do what it wanted on the ground, given that kind of patchwork, next man up, get creative backfield that they have with some injuries. And the passing game was real sharp as well. So just about everything that the Wolverines wanted to do, they were able to do. They were able to do it in front of a larger than usual homecoming crowd, which has to be a lot of fun for everybody. And hopefully, I mean, this is hopefully a bit of a turning point for the Riverton Wolverines. This game was really, after the first quarter, not terribly in doubt. Wolverines controlling things and closing out the game, just like we've heard Coach Lenhart say this team has to learn how to do.
Yeah, I think lots of reasons to be optimistic about this team going forward and seeing how they can compete against basically everybody left on the schedule. You'd face those three giants in 3A football that we've all been talking about. Add Powell into the mix. It's been the Cody and Star Valley show for quite some time, but Powell looking like they're going to compete with those two top teams. There's certainly some tough opponents left in the remaining part of the schedule, but I like Riverton's chances in a lot of these games. Big night for Derek DeVries, 5 touchdown passes. He was involved in every touchdown because the only one he didn't throw, he ran into the end zone. DeVries goes 11 of 19, did have the 1 interception, but 5 touchdown passes. Can't ask for much more from your senior, and it's nice to see him bounce back. You mentioned the ankle once, or maybe twice, where
you saw it once.
A little bit ginger on it, but a much more healthy-looking Derek DeVries, I think we're seeing.
Yeah, and as we've seen from that very first 0-week game against Powell, he is all heart. They had a hard time keeping him out of that game, even though in a statistically insignificant game, they probably, looking back, might have wanted to give him some extra rest on that ankle, but it doesn't seem to be bothering him. While it's bothered him in every game, apparently, it doesn't bother him enough to prevent him from throwing 5 touchdowns here today, and he was not scared to run the ball between the tackles or outside either, so he does look good. Got to keep your team healthy. That's true for any football team. We're down I think a big offensive key in May, who's going to be out for the foreseeable future, but a very happy group of guys get to enjoy homecoming weekend after a victory. And I think there at midfield, what you likely saw from Coach Lenhart was feel this, enjoy this, you earned it. All that hard work throughout the end of the summer, and a good week of practice from what we heard this week. But also realize that you can compete with teams that we're going to play, as you mentioned, Jared. Teams we're going to play for the rest of the season. We got to stop thinking about this as Riverton football as being a certain thing, as being in every win's going to be a close game. If you win, you prove today that you can blow out a good team, a conference team, and take them out of their game, execute your game plan, and then just pile on and close the door on them at the end.
Coming up here on the Bailey Tire and Auto post-game show, we will get some words from the head coach of the Wolverines, Mark Lenhart, who is still making his way off the field, so he'll join us here in just a little bit. Also, we'll select our Tyler Watson State Farm Insurance Player of the Game. It's been fun to be able to do that, so thanks to Tyler Watson for allowing us that opportunity. Once again, Riverton on top of the Rawlins Outlaws, 42-14 tonight. Let's take a a break. We'll get in full swing here to the Bailey Tire & Auto post-game show coming up on a victorious homecoming evening from Wolverine Field. You are watching the Wolverines on County10.com and listening on 105.1 Jack FM.
All-Star Realtors are proud to sponsor sports across Fremont County for the 22-23 season. RE/MAX All-Star Realtors was founded in 1991 with the goal of doing real estate in a way that would make our clients' lives as easy and uninterrupted as possible. They've completed many transactions involving residential, commercial, vacant lots, farm and ranch, and investment properties, and can help you with any goal you might have regarding any of these today. RE/MAX All-Star Realtors, 938 West Main Street, Riverton. See them online at remaxriverton.com.
Central Bank and Trust is a local bank that is focused on technology and convenience. We have a simpler online mortgage application process. You can use your computer or mobile device to upload required documents and sign them online. We have a variety of personal and business banking services. Stop in or visit centralbanktrust.com. We live here. We work here.
Goddard Construction is a local contractor dedicated to our community. We're proud to support our student athletes in every sport, on and off the field. We believe in hard work, crafting excellence, and building legacies, one project at a time. We bring your vision to life. Visit GoddardConstruction.com to see what we can create for you. Goddard Construction, building Fremont County, one project at a time.
Welcome you into the Bailey Tire & Auto post-game show. First time this season, a victorious post-game show on Jack FM and County10.com. Riverton knocks off Rawlins convincingly tonight, too, 42-14. Good to see Riverton pick up their first win on the season, but hopefully that's just the start of things to come here with a lot of games it feels like they can compete in down the stretch. The second half of the schedule gets underway, and it starts really next week with the keeper of the gold game and that big rivalry matchup against the Lander Tigers. It's fun no matter what the records are and no matter what's going on, but if you're a Riverton fan, got to be even more fun going into that one with some momentum.
Haven't seen a score from Buffalo after the lightning delay. Tigers were down 14-0 early on.
They've doubled that, have the Bison at half. It is now 28-0 at halftime in favor of Buffalo.
Lander obviously in a similar situation to Riverton before the season started. Both programs with new head coaches, both trying to rebuild. Riverton's going to have a very good feeling heading to Lander next week, and think they're going to be ready. I mean, every indication that Coach Lenhart's going to have them up for a rivalry game. Not that you really have to get up for Riverton-Lander, but
yeah,
they're in as good an outcome, as good a spot, considering their schedule, considering some injuries, all the variables that they've had to overcome. I think Riverton's in a pretty good spot starting off conference play. Obviously, 42-14 victory here tonight.
Yeah, you heard Aziz Waheed say it on the PA system, but Riverton is 1-0 in conference play, and despite the struggles here through the first few weeks of the season, that is really one of the key stats. So a whole new opportunity for Riverton in front of them now into conference play. Again, awaiting head coach Mark Lenhart here on the Bailey Tire & Auto post-game show. We'll get some comments from the coach in just a little bit. Let's keep going with some scores of interest in Class 3A football from around the state. Number 1, Cody knocked off Jackson 46-14. So the Bronx did, the Jackson Bronx, or both the Bronx, came back and put together a couple of touchdowns there. But Cody prevailing and will probably hang on to their number 1 ranking next week in the WyoPreps.com coaches and media poll. Late fourth quarter score, number 3, Powell on top of Green River, 44-3. We mentioned at the half, it's number 4, Buffalo leading Lander, 28-0. Had a lightning delay in the first quarter there, so they're going to be late finishing that one tonight. Let's see here. At halftime, number 5 Douglas is shutting out Worland 20-0, and you don't want to peek too far ahead, but those are two teams that Riverton will see. And after the Lander game, Scott and I will make the trip to Douglas with the Wolverines to see the Bearcats on the road. And then at halftime, this is a particularly interesting one. Halftime, number 2 Star Valley leads Evanston, but not by a whole lot. Star Valley 14, Evanston 9.
I mean, wow, that's not what you're expecting. We've seen both of those teams. I pegged Star Valley as the best team in the state, although they're right there with Cody. It could go either way. That makes you wonder how good Evanston might be becoming all of a sudden. And that's, again, a team that we played on the road and played pretty well. That was the game that we were into until the very last minute on that 4th and 12 mishap by the Wolverines. But pending that and a couple other plays, Riverton could win that game. So I would expect Star Valley to break that out a little bit in the second half, but that's a very interesting score. Yeah, it most definitely is. We mentioned most of the Fremont County scores earlier in the broadcast. If you missed it last night, Wind River knocked off number 1 in 1A 9-man football, Big Piney, 28-21. A game Wyatt Barijka brought you on county10.com. A couple other scores at the half right now. It's Grable up big on Wyoming Indian in Grable, 53-0. 6-man final from earlier in the day. DuBois knocked off Farson Eden 60-14. Farson Eden had gotten into the rankings at number 5, so an impressive win for DuBois there. And tomorrow you've got Shoshone going on the road to take on Rocky Mountain for a 2 o'clock game. We, of course, will keep you up to date with all the Fremont County scores of interest and recaps for you, too, as the games conclude at county10.com. Scott, we await Coach Lenhart, so let's move on to our other order of business here in the Bailey Tire and Auto postgame show, and that's to select our State Farm Tyler Watson player of the game. And we haven't had the chance to chat amongst ourselves, but on 3.
Okay, all right, you ready?
Go for it.
I've got to say that my vote goes to the very obvious choice in this one. We haven't picked the senior leader for this Wolverine team yet, but man, Derek DeVries was lights out tonight.
5 touchdowns, you can't argue with that, and was involved, as you said, in every touchdown but one for the Wolverines. We've been saving kind of the heavy hitters on offense for this award, the Tyler Watson State Farm Player of the Game, because we knew a night like this was going to come. Not that Blake, not that Nick didn't have great individual evenings as well, but I am a quarterback guy, and when a senior quarterback hangs 5 at homecoming, I got to go with Derek DeVries. Well deserved. He's put in a lot of work with this new offense that he's had to learn. And he's also been fighting an ankle injury since literally the first play of the game.
Yeah, exactly right.
Of the season, rather.
It's fun to see Derek coming through at a big moment. So thanks to Tyler Watson, thanks to State Farm in Riverton for allowing us the opportunity to do that. Congratulations to Derek DeVries, our player of the game. We welcome the head coach, Mark Lenhart, with us here on the Bailey Tire and Auto postgame show. Coach, first of all, congratulations. You've put a lot of hard work into this. It's got to feel good to be on the right side of the scoreboard tonight.
No doubt. I mean, I think that sometimes people don't realize the hard work that went into those games we lost, where we're just trying to find a way to be competitive and move the ball against some really, really good opponents. And so super proud for our kids, proud for our staff, happy for our fans. It's been a while since we've won a home football game around here, and so I'm happy for our kids. And I don't think it's going to take too much motivation to get ready to play next week's game against Lander.
You had this big victory at home against an extra large crowd for homecoming, which is great for you and the program too, and for the kids. Listening to you talk to Jared before the game, it sounded like you got pretty much your game plan spot on and you executed it. Maybe not right out of the gate right away, but you got what you were looking for from Rawlins from the sounds of things before the game.
I was a little surprised they played as much cover zero as they did, as well as we've thrown the football this year. I thought maybe they'd try and make us run it a little bit, and so when they're playing up tight cover zero, your best stuff is probably double moves and beating people and finding your mismatch. And we did that. I think schematically we just missed it, and sometimes you're pumped early, and I think Derek was a little pumped up. And then they come out on 0 and something that they had not run all year, and so we were a little taken back by it, and we're struggling to try and find a way to match up and line up initially. But I felt like we settled in, and Coach Lynn made some good adjustments and got us into a little bit more of a base defense against that spread look. And then in the second half, they came back to everything that we had been practicing all week. And so I thought our guys played hard. I thought we played physical, and but give them credit. I mean, I don't think enough credit goes to Coach Hastings for what a good job he's doing with their program. He's absolutely maximizing their talent, and he's playing to their strengths, and they're physical. And I'm telling you, I think there's a couple teams in our league that they'll give everything they want to.
Sure.
Fun win for the whole team, but to see Derek go through some of the struggles earlier this season with that ankle injury and then just kind of put it all together, 5 touchdown passes, runs in another one. Got to be happy for DeVries. Very happy for that kid. He's a great player, and he's a kid I wish I could have had a few more years with, to be honest with you. And but I want to give some, Derek's always going to play well week in, week out, but some love to Branson Saltzcaver. I mean, this kid who just shows up every day and does what we ask him to do. And, he was the matchup tonight, and we found that maybe he was a guy that the guy who was covering him was a guy we could use to beat, or he could beat the guy that was covering him, and he did a good job. And Derek found him a couple times, and so I'm super happy for that kid, and just proud of our guys. I'm proud that they can enjoy a homecoming win, and I told them, the minute that you show up at 6 a.m. on practice on Monday, it's 100% on to Lander, and I think they're excited for that. And I asked them, I said, just give all you can these next 4 weeks, and you might surprise yourself where you are at the end of it. And so hopefully we can continue to do that. Definitely. All right, Coach, we'll let you get out of here. Starting to feel a couple raindrops, so we're going to pack our stuff up. Yeah, this stuff looks way too expensive to let it get rained on. So, Coach, congratulations. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll look forward to rivalry football next time. Yep, it'll be great. All right, thanks a bunch, guys. Thanks, Coach. Coach Mark Lenhart, appreciate him joining us as always here on the Bailey Tire and Auto postgame show. And with that, Scott, I think it's time to wrap up and get our stuff out of the rain here as we broadcast outside of Wolverine Field. But big win, and congratulations to Riverton and all the Wolverine fans. A hard-fought victory. Again, the final score, Riverton 42, Rawlins 14. We'll join you next week from Lander for Riverton and Lander football. For Jason Peterson, our camera operator, for Scott Fuller, I'm Jared Anderson. Have a great rest of your night and a great weekend.